Imagine a time when a few cents had to feed an entire family. During America's toughest eras, like the Great Depression and World War II, families relied on resourcefulness to turn simple, cheap ingredients into comforting meals. Today, we honor these creative and timeless recipes, bringing you 25 incredible dinners that defined generations and shaped our culinary heritage. Number 1. Poor man's stew. Poor man's stew, also known as hobo stew, is a hearty and budget-friendly dish that originated during the Great Depression. This stew was a staple for many families, utilizing affordable ingredients like ground beef, potatoes, carrots, and onions. The simplicity of the recipe allowed for flexibility, enabling cooks to incorporate whatever vegetables were available, making it a versatile meal option. Traditionally, the stew is simmered slowly, allowing the flavors to meld together, resulting in a comforting and filling meal. In modern times, poor man's stew has seen a resurgence, with variations including the use of slow cookers for convenience and the addition of spices to enhance flavor. Despite its humble beginnings, this dish remains a testament to culinary ingenuity during challenging economic times. Number 2. Hoover's casserole. Hoover's casserole was a product of necessity, designed to stretch the smallest amount of resources into a filling meal for entire families during the Great Depression. This dish was often a combination of macaroni, canned stewed tomatoes, and affordable cuts of meat, typically hot dogs or scraps of sausage. The real genius of Hoover's casserole was its adaptability. Families would add any available extras, such as onions, beans, or even a sprinkle of grated cheese if they were fortunate enough to have some. Preparation was straightforward but methodical. The macaroni would be boiled in salted water until just tender. In a separate pot, stewed tomatoes were combined with chopped meat and any additional vegetables. These ingredients would simmer together, creating a savory sauce that coated the pasta when mixed in. The dish was then baked or served directly, often with breadcrumbs saved from stale bread toasted on top for a crispy texture. For families with limited resources, this casserole became a staple because it was cheap, filling, and versatile. It also had an element of communal effort. Neighbors might barter for ingredients, and many soup kitchens relied on similar recipes to serve large groups. Hoover's casserole wasn't just food, it was an emblem of how creativity and cooperation helped families endure some of the harshest economic challenges. Number 3. Milk toast. Milk toast is a dish that blends simplicity with a sense of nostalgic comfort. Traditionally, it was made by lightly toasting slices of bread, spreading them with butter, and then soaking them in warm milk. The milk was often lightly sweetened with sugar or enhanced with a pinch of cinnamon or nutmeg for added flavor. It became a popular meal during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, particularly as a remedy for the sick or as a gentle breakfast option for children. What set milk toast apart was its ability to transform the most basic pantry staples into something that felt warm and indulgent. Variations of the dish appeared in different regions. Some families added a pinch of salt for a savory twist, while others used leftover bread to minimize waste. In some cases, cream or a spoonful of condensed milk was added to the base for extra richness. The dish wasn't just about sustenance, it carried a comforting ritual. The process of carefully toasting bread, gently warming milk, and assembling the meal was often a soothing activity, providing a sense of stability in uncertain times. Milk toast also had an air of accessibility. Whether in times of economic hardship or simply as a low-effort meal, it represented a connection to home and simplicity. While its popularity waned over the decades, it has found a new audience in recent years as people explore vintage recipes and embrace its comforting appeal. Number 4. Depression-era pizza. During the Great Depression, resourceful families transformed basic ingredients into satisfying meals, leading to the creation of Depression-era pizza. This dish utilized simple bread dough as the base, often repurposed from leftover bread-making efforts. Instead of traditional tomato sauce, a mixture of ketchup and dried herbs was spread over the dough, providing a flavorful yet economical alternative. Toppings were minimal and depended on availability. Small amounts of cheese, such as grated Romano or mozzarella, were used sparingly. In some regions, thin slices of vegetables like bell peppers or onions were added to enhance flavor and nutrition. The pizza was baked until the crust was crisp and the toppings were heated through, resulting in a meal that was both comforting and cost-effective. This inventive approach to pizza making not only provided sustenance during challenging times, but also showcased the ingenuity of home cooks in maximizing limited resources. Number 5. Salt pork gravy. Salt pork gravy, a staple in American cuisine, particularly in the southern United States, has its roots in the resourceful cooking practices of the 18th and 19th centuries. Salt pork, derived from the pork belly or fatback, is heavily salted and cured, making it a durable and accessible source of fat and flavor. This preservation method was essential before refrigeration, allowing families to store meat for extended periods. To prepare the gravy, thin slices of salt pork are fried until crisp, rendering a substantial amount of flavorful fat. A portion of this fat is then used to create a roux by adding flour and cooking until lightly browned. Gradually incorporating milk into the roux while stirring results in a creamy, savory gravy. The crisped salt pork pieces are often added back into the gravy, enhancing its texture and taste. This gravy is traditionally served over biscuits, potatoes, or bread, transforming simple staples into hearty meals. The dish exemplifies the ingenuity of cooks who maximize limited resources to create flavorful and satisfying food. Number 6. Potato soup with salt pork. Potato soup with salt pork exemplifies Depression-era ingenuity, transforming minimal ingredients into a hearty meal. Salt pork, a staple due to its affordability and long shelf life, imparts a rich, savory depth to the soup. The preparation begins by rendering diced salt pork, releasing flavorful fat used to sauté onions and garlic. Cubed potatoes are then added, absorbing the savory essence. Water or broth is poured in and the mixture simmers until the potatoes soften, creating a creamy texture. Occasionally, a splash of milk or cream is incorporated for added richness. This simple yet satisfying dish not only provided sustenance during tough times, but also showcased the resourcefulness of home cooks. Today, it remains a comforting reminder of culinary resilience. Number 7. Dandelion salad. Dandelion salad was a creative and nutrient-packed solution during times of food scarcity, particularly in rural and urban settings where wild greens were abundant. The entire plant was utilized to maximize its value. The leaves were harvested young to minimize bitterness, while older leaves were often cooked or blended with other greens to make them more palatable. The flowers were sometimes used to garnish salads, adding a touch of color and a mild sweetness. For seasoning, dandelion salad was commonly dressed with homemade vinaigrettes made from vinegar and oil, with mustard or honey added for flavor when available. Families often mix dandelion greens with other free or low-cost greens, such as spinach or wild mustard for variety and additional volume. In some cases, fresh dandelions were sautéed in bacon drippings before being added to the salad, enhancing the flavor and making the dish feel indulgent despite its simplicity. One unique feature of dandelion greens was their role as a natural spring cleanser. Many believe that consuming them after a long winter helped detoxify the body and boost energy, making this salad a seasonal favorite. Foragers were careful to select greens from uncontaminated areas, avoiding roadside plants or those near industrial zones. Dandelion roots, a valuable secondary component, were sometimes peeled, diced, and added raw for a peppery crunch, or roasted to enhance their earthy flavor. This dish was not only a source of vital nutrients, but also an example of how traditional knowledge of the land helped families overcome food insecurity with creativity and resourcefulness. Number 8. Cabbage and noodles. Cabbage and noodles, often referred to as haluski in Central and Eastern Europe, is a simple yet deeply satisfying dish. Its core ingredients, cabbage, onions, butter, and egg noodles, highlight its humble origins as an affordable, filling meal. The cabbage is thinly sliced and sautéed with onions in a generous amount of butter until caramelized and tender. giving the dish a rich, slightly sweet flavor. Meanwhile, the egg noodles are cooked separately and then tossed with the cabbage mixture to coat them evenly. Variations of this dish are common in regions like Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary. Some families add smoked meats such as bacon, ham, or kielbasa to enhance the flavor. Others sprinkle poppy seeds or freshly cracked black pepper as a finishing touch. During Lent or other meatless periods, it's often served as a vegetarian dish, relying solely on the buttery cabbage for richness. This dish's adaptability and ease of preparation made it popular among immigrant communities in the United States, particularly in regions like Pennsylvania and Ohio. It became a staple in church potlucks and family gatherings. Despite its simplicity, cabbage and noodles exemplify how traditional recipes can transform basic ingredients into something truly comforting and memorable. Number 9. Bread soup. Bread soup is a versatile and resourceful dish that uses stale bread as its base to create a filling, flavorful meal. This practice dates back centuries and has been a staple in many cultures, particularly during times of economic hardship. The foundation of bread soup involves soaking chunks of stale bread in a flavorful liquid, such as broth, water, or milk, allowing the bread to soften and absorb the surrounding flavors. In Italy, bread soup takes the form of ribollita, a Tuscan dish combining bread with cannellini beans, kale, and an assortment of vegetables. Garlic and olive oil are often added to enhance the richness of the soup. In Germany, brotsoupi transforms stale bread with meat or vegetable broth, sometimes finished with cream or butter for a smooth texture. In Eastern Europe, bread soup is often flavored with garlic, caraway seeds, and potatoes, creating a hearty, rustic version. The preparation of bread soup often involves layering flavors. Bread is sometimes toasted or fried before being added, giving it a nutty and robust taste. Aromatics like onions and garlic are sautéed to deepen the flavor, and ingredients such as cheese, eggs, or seasonal vegetables are incorporated for added texture and nutrition. These variations show how bread soup can adapt to different regions and resources, while maintaining its role as a comforting and economical meal. Number 10. Hamburger gravy. Hamburger gravy is a classic comfort dish made by combining ground beef with a rich, creamy sauce, often served over mashed potatoes, rice, or toasted bread. The dish was born out of necessity, particularly during times when stretching ingredients was crucial. Ground beef, being one of the most affordable meats, became the centerpiece of this versatile meal. To prepare hamburger gravy, ground beef is browned in a skillet, often alongside diced onions for additional flavor. Once the beef is fully cooked, flour is sprinkled over the meat to create a roux, which is then combined with milk or broth to form a creamy, smooth sauce. Seasonings like black pepper, salt, and Worcestershire sauce enhance the savory depth of the gravy. Some variations include garlic, mushrooms, or even a dash of soy sauce to add richness. This dish is beloved for its adaptability. It can be made thicker to resemble a meat sauce or thinned for a pourable gravy. In rural areas, it was common to use leftover drippings or fat from other meals to further enrich the flavor. The addition of bread or potatoes underneath transformed a simple sauce into a filling and satisfying meal for large families. Hamburger gravy continues to be a nostalgic and economical choice, celebrated for its comforting taste and practicality. Number 11. Sugar sandwiches. Sugar sandwiches are a prime example of how simple ingredients were turned into comforting treats during hard times. This dish was often made by spreading a layer of butter onto a slice of bread and sprinkling it generously with sugar. The butter acted as an adhesive, ensuring the sugar stayed in place, and the combination of soft bread, creamy butter, and the crystalline crunch of sugar made for a sweet, satisfying snack. The type of bread and sugar used often depended on what was available. In some homes, leftover bread or even stale slices were revived with this treatment, while others toasted the bread lightly to add a warm, crisp element. Families occasionally added a touch of cinnamon or vanilla extract to enhance the flavor when available. Some regions adopted unique variations, such as substituting molasses, honey, or syrup for sugar to create a slightly different texture and taste. Sugar sandwiches were a favorite among children due to their sweetness and were often prepared as an after-school snack or a quick energy boost during the day. Despite their simplicity, they carried a sense of indulgence and creativity, showing how even the most basic ingredients could be transformed into a beloved treat with a little imagination. Number 12. Bologna casserole. Bologna casserole is a dish born from the necessity of stretching simple, affordable ingredients into a satisfying family meal. It typically begins with bologna slices, which are diced or layered to form the protein base of the casserole. The bologna is often browned in a skillet to enhance its flavor before being combined with additional ingredients. Mashed or sliced potatoes are a common companion, providing bulk and a creamy texture. Cheese, particularly cheddar or processed cheese, is layered or mixed in to add richness and bind the components together as they bake. Onions or bell peppers are sometimes sautéed and incorporated for added flavor and texture. In some variations, canned goods such as condensed soup or baked beans are included to create a savory sauce that ties the dish together. The casserole is then baked until the top is bubbly and golden, creating a crispy layer of melted cheese or toasted breadcrumbs for contrast. This simple yet versatile recipe is an enduring example of how a few pantry staples can be transformed into a flavorful and comforting meal. Number 13. Goulash. Goulash is a hearty dish with origins in Hungary, where it began as a slow-cooked stew made by herdsmen using beef or lamb, potatoes, onions, and a rich paprika-spiced broth. Over time, it was adapted into various cuisines, leading to the creation of American goulash, a distinct simplified version that became popular in the United States during the early 20th century. American goulash typically includes ground beef, elbow macaroni, and a tomato-based sauce. It's often prepared as a one-pot meal, with the pasta cooked directly in the sauce to absorb the flavors. Onions, garlic, and bell peppers are commonly added to enhance the taste. This version gained popularity for being economical, filling, and easy to prepare, making it a staple in many households, especially during tough economic times. Variations of American goulash include using cheese for a creamier consistency, incorporating Worcestershire sauce for depth, or substituting rice for pasta. Its versatility and simplicity have made it a go-to dish for potlucks, family dinners, and large gatherings. Number 14. Mayonnaise biscuits. Mayonnaise biscuits are a Southern culinary innovation that emerged during the Great Depression, offering a cost-effective alternative to traditional biscuits. By substituting mayonnaise for butter or shortening, these biscuits maintain a moist and tender crumb, thanks to the oil and egg content in mayonnaise. The basic recipe requires only 3 ingredients: self-rising flour, milk, and mayonnaise, making it both simple and economical. The preparation involves mixing the ingredients into a batter, spooning it into muffin tins, or dropping it onto a baking sheet, and baking until golden brown. This method eliminates the need for rolling or cutting dough, streamlining the baking process. Variations of the recipe include adding shredded cheese, herbs, or spices to enhance flavor. The versatility and ease of mayonnaise biscuits have solidified their place in Southern kitchens, serving as a quick bread option for any meal. Number 15. Mock apple pie. Mock apple pie is a dessert that ingeniously replicates the flavor and texture of traditional apple pie without using any apples. This culinary innovation dates back to the mid-19th century, when resourceful cooks sought alternatives during times when apples were scarce or expensive. Early versions utilized soda crackers or stale bread as substitutes for apples. The pie gained significant popularity during the Great Depression and World War II, periods marked by food shortages and economic hardship. In the 1930s, Nabisco capitalized on this trend by printing a mock apple pie recipe on their Ritz cracker boxes, further cementing the dessert's place in American culinary history. The recipe typically involves layering broken Ritz crackers in a pie crust and pouring a syrup made from sugar, water, lemon juice, and cream of tartar over them. Spices like cinnamon and nutmeg are added to mimic the traditional apple pie flavor. When baked, the crackers absorb the syrup, resulting in a filling that closely resembles the taste and consistency of cooked apples. This inventive dessert showcases the creativity and adaptability of cooks during challenging times, turning simple pantry staples into a beloved treat. Number 16. Depression cake. Depression cake, also known as wacky cake or war cake, emerged during the Great Depression and World War II, when ingredients like eggs, milk, and butter were scarce. This cake ingeniously omits these items, relying instead on basic pantry staples. The batter typically includes flour, sugar, cocoa powder, baking soda, salt, vinegar, vanilla extract, oil, and water. The vinegar and baking soda react to provide leavening, resulting in a moist and tender crumb. Traditionally, the dry ingredients are mixed directly in the baking pan, creating 3 wells for the wet ingredients, which are then combined and baked. This method minimizes dishwashing and simplifies preparation. Despite its humble origins, depression cake offers a rich chocolate flavor and remains a testament to culinary creativity during challenging times. Number 17. Cornmeal mush. Cornmeal mush is a traditional dish made by boiling cornmeal in water or milk until it reaches a thick, porridge-like consistency. This simple yet hearty meal has deep historical roots, originally popularized by indigenous peoples who cultivated corn as a dietary staple. It became widely adopted by settlers and pioneers, particularly in early America, due to its affordability and ease of preparation. The dish was versatile, serving as a breakfast, lunch, or dinner option, depending on how it was prepared. Hot cornmeal mush was often served, sweetened with molasses, honey, or syrup for breakfast. Leftover mush could be poured into a loaf pan, cooled, sliced, and fried until crispy. This variation, often paired with bacon or eggs, became a favorite for those seeking a satisfying and inexpensive meal. During economic hardships, such as the Great Depression, cornmeal mush gained popularity as a way to stretch limited resources. Its minimal ingredients and filling nature made it a go-to meal for families. Today, it remains a nostalgic comfort food, celebrated for its simplicity and historical significance. Number 18. Navy bean soup. Navy bean soup, a staple in American cuisine, has deep historical roots. Its name derives from its extensive use by the U.S. Navy, where it was a cost-effective and nutritious meal for sailors. The soup's prominence is further highlighted by its daily presence in the U.S. Senate dining room since the early 20th century, earning it the moniker Senate bean soup. Traditional recipes feature navy beans, ham hocks, and aromatic vegetables like onions, carrots, and celery, simmered to create a hearty and flavorful dish. Variations have emerged over time, including vegetarian adaptations that replace ham with ingredients like Parmesan cheese rinds to maintain depth of flavor. The soup's enduring popularity is a testament to its simplicity, affordability, and comforting qualities, making it a cherished part of American culinary heritage. Number 19. Baked bean sandwiches. Baked bean sandwiches, a staple in New England cuisine, trace their origins to early 20th century America. The first known recipe appeared in Janet Mackenzie Hill's 1909 book Cooking for Two, where she presented it as a meatless alternative. Traditionally, these sandwiches consist of baked beans placed between 2 slices of Boston brown bread, a dense, slightly sweet loaf made with molasses and rye or whole wheat flour. This combination reflects the region's culinary heritage, emphasizing simplicity and resourcefulness. Variations include adding toppings like lettuce, mayonnaise, or ketchup, though the classic Boston version remains unadorned. The sandwich's enduring popularity highlights its role in utilizing leftovers, particularly from the customary Saturday night baked bean suppers, and its significance in New England's gastronomic traditions. Number 20. Mystery mock chicken. Mystery mock chicken is a vintage dish that creatively mimics the flavor and texture of chicken using alternative ingredients, often due to economic constraints or dietary choices. Historically, during periods when chicken was scarce or expensive, home cooks devised recipes that replicated chicken dishes without using actual poultry. One such method involved combining finely chopped onions and tomatoes, sautéed in butter until tender. A beaten egg was then incorporated, along with mixed herbs, and the mixture was cooked until it reached a consistency similar to scrambled eggs. This savory blend was commonly served on crackers or bread, offering a flavorful and economical alternative to traditional chicken spreads. In some variations, grated cheese was added to enhance richness. This inventive approach not only provided a cost-effective solution, but also showcased culinary ingenuity in creating satisfying meals from simple, readily available ingredients. Number 21. Chipped beef on toast. Chipped beef on toast is a classic dish that emerged as a practical and economical meal in the early 20th century, particularly popular in military settings and later in civilian households. The main ingredient, chipped beef, is made from thin slices of dried, salted beef, which was widely available and had a long shelf life, making it an ideal choice during times of scarcity or for large-scale food preparation. To prepare this dish, chipped beef is typically rinsed to remove excess salt, sliced into strips, and cooked in a rich, creamy white sauce. This sauce is made from a simple roux of butter and flour, combined with milk and seasoned with black pepper. The resulting mixture is then served over slices of toasted bread, creating a hearty and satisfying meal. Variations of the dish have been adapted over time. Some recipes include adding sautéed onions or garlic to the sauce for extra flavor, while others use a pinch of nutmeg to enhance the creaminess. In certain regions, chipped beef on toast is served with a side of eggs, making it a popular breakfast choice. During economic hardships, this dish was cherished for its ability to turn inexpensive ingredients into a filling and flavorful meal, cementing its status as a beloved comfort food. Number 22. Acorn survival bread. Acorn survival bread is a traditional food crafted from acorn flour, a staple in various indigenous diets due to its nutritional value and availability. To prepare acorn flour, acorns must first be leached to remove bitter tannins. This involves shelling the acorns, grinding them into a meal, and repeatedly rinsing in cold water until the bitterness subsides. Once leached, the meal is dried and ground into fine flour. A basic acorn bread recipe combines 1 cup of acorn flour with 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 beaten egg, 1 cup of milk, and 3 tablespoons of oil. The mixture is blended until smooth, poured into a greased loaf pan, and baked at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 175 degrees Celsius, for about 30 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. The resulting bread offers a dense, nutty flavor, providing a nutritious and sustainable food source in survival situations. Number 23. Hot dog and potato soup. Hot dog and potato soup is a dish born out of creativity and practicality, often associated with periods of economic challenge when families needed to stretch their ingredients. The combination of hot dogs and potatoes may seem unconventional, but it highlights how simple, affordable items can come together to create a comforting and filling meal. The potatoes serve as the backbone of the dish, offering a hearty texture and the ability to absorb and carry flavors. Their starchiness naturally thickens the soup, giving it a creamy consistency without the need for heavy cream or complex techniques. Hot dogs, on the other hand, add a savory and slightly smoky element, transforming the soup into a satisfying one-pot meal. They are a practical choice due to their affordability and long shelf life, making them a staple in many households. This dish reflects the ingenuity of home cooks who turned limited resources into nourishing meals. It's often seen as a nostalgic comfort food, evoking memories of simple, warming dinners that could feed a crowd with minimal effort. Variations of the soup sometimes include additional ingredients like onions, corn, or cheese, but the core elements remain the same: a balance of flavors and textures that turns basic pantry staples into a dish full of character and warmth. Number 24. Poor man's pudding. Poor man's pudding, known in French as pudding chômeur, is a traditional Quebecois dessert that emerged during the Great Depression. Its name translates to unemployed person's pudding, reflecting its origins as an affordable treat made from basic pantry staples. The dessert consists of a simple cake batter baked in a pool of caramel sauce, resulting in a comforting, sweet dish. Originally, the sauce was made with brown sugar, but over time, maple syrup became a popular substitute, adding a distinct Canadian flavor. Today, poor man's pudding remains a beloved dessert in Quebec and other French-Canadian regions, often served in restaurants and sugar shacks, especially during maple syrup season. Number 25. Depression meatloaf. Depression meatloaf was a resourceful creation designed to maximize scarce ingredients during the Great Depression. Ground meat was the base of the dish, but it was heavily supplemented with economical fillers, such as breadcrumbs, crushed crackers, rolled oats, or even finely grated potatoes. These fillers served to stretch the meat, making it possible to feed larger families with minimal expense. What made this dish particularly ingenious was the use of flavor enhancers like onions, garlic, and a dash of ketchup or mustard, which were often salvaged from nearly empty bottles. In some variations, a splash of vinegar or Worcestershire sauce added depth to the taste. The meat mixture was shaped into a loaf and baked, often topped with a thin layer of tomato sauce or leftover gravy to add moisture and flavor. This dish was not just about sustenance, but also about adaptability. Some families substituted ground beef with other affordable proteins, like pork or poultry. Depression meatloaf reflected the creativity and resilience of home cooks who managed to turn basic pantry staples into a satisfying and hearty meal. It remains a nostalgic favorite, often symbolizing an era of thrift and ingenuity in the kitchen.